Is currently Tuesday, July 30th, 2024. It's 6:35 p.m. as you can see at the top here, just so that you can see. I like to document the current time and whatnot. This is documentation of Title 18 criminal activity, and it's on the venue of the internet. This is relevant to interstate commerce. This is relevant to the interstate stalking that is currently outside of the bounds of the law under United States Code Title 18. This is serving a criminal purpose to obstruct justice. This is necessarily pursuant to knowledge about an American citizen that is seeking to save their life, protect themselves from danger, from kidnapping by the government that is criminally surveilling them, stalking them, and sexually violating them by the government directly and by the people of the state, which is the government acting vicariously. And it is entirely demonic, and the entity does so with the criminal purpose to obstruct justice, and it's on the venue of the internet. So again, while I remain subject to federal group stalking and monitoring, the entity is also engaged in federal stalking. Federal stalking serves the purpose by the state to group stalk you and surveil and impede on every right that you have to privacy in every aspect. I mean, if you're on the internet buying your size extra small lingerie, the government is right there watching what color, how many you buy, who you bought them from, what color you got, the date that you chose to have them delivered, and whether or not if it's being shipped by whichever carrier, for example, third party group stalker Amazon, and whether they're going to pay to have it expedited or whether they're just going to pay regular to have it sent. Every detail, how much you paid, how much taxes, and what brand they are. Okay. The entity is engaged in every aspect of your life as a matter of public information, while the government keeps you under surveillance, and the government doesn't do it for its own purposes, which are criminal because there's no constitutional basis for it. But it's also doing it with the people of the state. So it's not just the government, and it's not enough that the government is engaged in that level of a violation of privacy. It's also that which the government does maliciously through the population of people who surround you. And it is demonic at its core. This is relevant when it comes to an ongoing conspiracy to murder you and or permanently kidnap you. Remember, the entity doesn't just want to put you in jail for the weekend. It's not enough that the entity puts you in prison, perhaps even for maybe 2 years, and then you get off after 6 months. It's not enough that the entity temporarily keep you in a facility for 72 hours and then release you pursuant to the Welfare and Institutions Code. Because the entity doesn't even comply with that, the entity will keep you exceeding what the Welfare and Institutions Code calls for, while they don't even have authority under it, by the way. Remember, they're stalking, kidnapping, and defaming you, and then abusing existing laws such as the Welfare and Institutions Code to kidnap you permanently. That's what the pattern of conduct is. That's what the pattern of conduct serves for. And it is also reasonably it is also that which the ordinary target individual reasonably fears, where the government is group stalking you. Remember, group stalking is state surveillance. All right, so this is relevant to what is criminal obstruction of justice. As you can see here, I took a picture of what is, if it was not evidence that serves to prosecute the state that is engaged in an ongoing, inexplicable obsession, not only with my genitalia, but also with every location where I'm at, everything that I do, including whether I eat oatmeal for breakfast or if I fast for the day. The government is overly consumed with it, inexplicably, and also employs what is demonic methods of keeping me monitored and group stalking me with the people of the state who surround in the same exact demonic environment, where a light source, which is not defined as the sun, not characteristic of the behavior of the sun, where it is present for over 12 hours in the day, which remains the case. The entity is keeping the fake sun here at third-party facilitating venue town Suites by Marriott. This is how you see concentrated light that is on the wall. This is the evidence of the specific environment. And as I already stated, the entity, which is the people of the state at third party facilitating venue town place Suites by Marriott, this is a workforce that are filled with defendants. Very easy for the federal government to recognize and identify and gather, okay? Because they're all going to federal prison. This is what is federal group stalking and monitoring in a specific environment. And the hotel is also filled with defendants who volunteer their private information, and it's not because they're innocent or ignorant. It's because the entity engages in state surveillance in a manner that you are readily capable of identifying It's a matter of identifying the crime scene. It's a matter of identifying the pattern of conduct, the malice with which a government is engaging in, what are satanic methods seeking to sacrifice you and surveil you, psychologically torment and torture you, which is why that which is not possibly the sun at the intersection, as you saw yesterday, through the windshield of a vehicle that wants to be looked at as a free citizen just driving by, ignorant of my presence at 9:30 in the morning. However, it's over the same intersection as you see the evidence of right now through impossible light activity, where the sun would never be outside of the building and then at some odd angle shoot horizontally to the side onto the wall inside of this hotel room. That's engineered light. That's in conformity to a long documented pattern of conduct. And at 6:39 p.m., literally outside of the bedroom window at Alvarado Gardens, there is evidence of what is supposed to be the sun at that location, which is not over at any venue or vantage point, rather, at 6:39 p.m., aiming any sort of ridiculous circus light conduct through the window and onto the wall, while the entity is keeping it, again, while I'm capturing over my head at the same venue at 8:24 in the morning. This is at all angles, you're looking at the evidence of the pattern of conduct. Again, the readily identifiable identification of defendants, those that are working at this facilitating venue where there is no exercise of any privacy rights. This is the government's malicious system of criminal surveillance, and it is entirely satanic. And while the entity is keeping you under surveillance and engaging in what is the malicious form, the criminal and malicious use of a business in order to aid the government in threatening the life, conspiring to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen, in parentheses, I just want to be clear, you go to federal prison for that. That's what the people of the state are faced with. And this is everywhere that you're going. So this is, again, another venue where the people of the state are going to federal prison for what they facilitate, for what they engage in. They can't point to the government and say, oh, the government made me do it. No, the government's not making you be a demon and stalk with audible activity. The government's not making you check into the hotel where the fake sun and engineered light is present. This is the people of the state acting of their own volition, in conformity to the state's pattern of conduct, practicing demonic methods of monitoring people. The people of the state have the spirit of Satan on them. They're demon-possessed themselves. They cannot blame it on the demon Alan San Victoris. They can't blame it on any demon driving a Falk ambulance. They can't blame it on Satan himself that keeps a fake sun over my location, where the demon-possessed are acting of their own volition. Group stalking, a very serious amount of federal violations, while the people of the state group stalk as a population in a readily identifiable environment. Let me zoom in so you can see again this engineer light that's concentrated on a wall in a hotel in Monrovia, California, at the intersection of Huntington and Myrtle at 6:42 p.m., where there is not possibly any sunset, through the window of Arrowhead Regional Medical Center. Okay, remember, June 2022, same time of year analysis applies, and there is a sunset captured inside of that state facilitating venue after this same entity that is group stalking to date. That's how you know that Alan San Victoris and the venue of the Arrowhead Regional Medical Center, these are not anomalies. This is a pattern of conduct where the entity that's group stalking, engaging in criminal surveillance, stalking, just like the Ontario Police Department, who were group stalking at the Ovid Family Community Library, where there's no sunset at the same time, which I also documented at 6:39 p.m., replete with helicopter activity at that library. And at 6:39, there's the sunset, which is not going to be at any angle to aim any sunlight inside of this hotel room, where the entity is group stalking and there's no sunset that's also going to be seen through the, Colton, where Arrowhead Regional Medical Center is, after I suffered criminal defamation and kidnapping by an entity that's obsessively seeking to obstruct justice. This leads to Exhibit A. This is all the P.O.C. Exhibit A includes federal stalking on the venue of the internet. And it includes knowledge of the fact that you are identifying the criminal system that you're subject to, and you're merely capturing the evidence while the government threatens your life, hunting you as the animals that they are, and then trying to silence you while they engage in that egregious system. Let me be clear. Not only is it something that is readily identifiable that you can capture, and you're talking about a surefire prosecution, and it will be from the demon-possessed chief of police all the way down. Whoever thinks that they're at the top, they're going to find out how soon. They're going to find out very soon that they are not. And they will be sitting in cages like every other welfare collecting demon. There's no social status amongst the demon possessed. There's no power hierarchy amongst the demon possessed. Okay, and so this is snatching a lot of people out of a superficial reality where you're focused on the carnal, and these demon possessed minions are they are fully operating in dark spirituality. Okay, first of all, which is relevant, it's legally relevant because I'm going to prosecute you for being a demon-possessed psychopath. The demon-possessed, the mental illness by the demon-possessed is a direct threat to my life. And that demon possession is relevant to your behavior. It's relevant to the environment that I'm surrounded by while you are stalking. It's also the ability to recognize the fact that you are stalking. Okay, so the entity does so maliciously, and it also does so on the venue of the internet. And while you're looking at on the venue of the internet on YouTube, a third party facilitating venue number one, on the venue of the internet where the people of the state, the demons that are stalking, for example, this is just a small picture, micro level analysis. There's a whole greater picture. Remember the whole state, everyone, everywhere. But let's just center it down. The center of the universe is where I'm at inside of the hotel at Town Place Suites by Marriott. Let's just say the whole world, the facilitating venue, the whole state of California just consists of the demons that fill the 5 floors and 109 hotel rooms. Excuse me, 108, because I'm not demon possessed and I'm not engaging in surveilling myself. The entity is monitoring me, surveilling me, and threatening my life and seeking to engage in violating my privacy, sexually violating me. So all 108 rooms and 5 floors filled with the state of California. They are engaging, and let me be clear, these demons that are group stalking in the hotel, all they do is get on the internet where they know what website I'm at. They're engaged in Title 18, aware of the lingerie, the color, engaged in whatever sexual perverted conduct while they're monitoring my activity online. A group stalker, a sex offender that's interested in my lingerie, engaging in whatever sexual conduct that they do with themselves, whatever sex offenders like to do when they know about the lingerie you're buying. That's relevant, okay? And that's sick and perverted, all right? So I want to be clear, just as an aside, I don't mean to go too far off on a tangent, but you're picturing the sex offender that's monitoring and aware, keeping me under surveillance regarding the lingerie, for example, that I'm purchasing. And then all they are doing is hopping online, and they're the same people in the state that are group stalking you. The entity is fully aware of what you're doing. In other words, quote unquote, where you're at online. It's a matter of public information amongst that same entity that is keeping you under surveillance physically. The people of the state are engaging in criminal acts of obstruction of justice on the venue of the internet, which again, the target individual doesn't have to establish. It will be a matter of prosecution. I want to be clear, Google is a third party. Google's corporate headquarters is in California, i.e. a third party. But I also want to state on the venue of the internet, there is no exercise of freedom of speech under facts of federal group stalking and monitoring. The state is acting, the state is speaking, the state does it through the people. Remember that. So you're talking about breaking down all of these superficial means whereby government is targeting you, harassing you, oppressing you, engaging, terrorizing you, engaging in what are methods of obstructing justice. So in order to avoid being prosecuted as a group stalker, which the state of California does with the people. And so again, I'm not under any circumstances here. It's a matter for prosecution, whether or not YouTube directly is engaging in this documented criminal act of obstruction of justice, which I took a picture of it at 6:29 p.m. And I'm going to let you know right now that it is, this is analogous. This is the same conduct where the entity engages in putting up a superficial screen to obstruct the ability to create a Google Drive, okay? Requiring a cell phone number. And you don't need a cell phone number to create a Google account. In order to access the Google account, which comes with many benefits, you can use a Google Drive. This is where you can store files. This is where I document the state of California. A very serious federal investigation is underway, and the government's going to learn to respect it. And all the ways in which the government has disrespected it, remember, the government includes the people of the state. There are a lot of people who are going to federal prison. This hotel is filled with defendants who are engaging in a documented criminal act of obstruction of justice. This is no ordinary crime. Remember, an ongoing threat to your life exists. An ongoing threat to permanently kidnap you, silence. That's why you engage in trying to stop someone from engaging in what is free conduct that YouTube is not limiting. YouTube is not limiting, you can only upload 25 videos a day. YouTube, the only limit that YouTube places, which is a third party on the venue of the internet, but I want to be clear, just because here there is probable cause to suspect that YouTube as a third party itself has nothing to do with actually the people of the state's ability, this demonic conduct, this monitoring on the venue of the internet, not saying that some minion at YouTube isn't capable of providing somewhere where you can get some superficial means of obstructing. Again, like I said, I'm not putting anything outside of the bounds of possibility. However, it is based on the pattern of conduct. It is also very capable that the demons that surround me, the state itself, not necessarily including the actual people of the state within. Remember, Google is a third party. Google is the people of the state. The website, this is the venue of the people of the state on the internet. This is what's going to be recognized. This is how you're going to prosecute the government that's keeping you under surveillance. The government, it just jumps right onto the internet. That's where the P.O.C. continues. And everything that's stated, everything defaming, everything harassing and terrorizing, the people are going to be prosecuted. They're not exercising free speech. They're the same demons that are group stalking. And whether you're in Connecticut, and I never documented you in a relevant position, you will be prosecuted, especially where on the venue of the internet, the target individual has clearly communicated they're not on there for funsies. They're documenting the government that is threatening their life. And if you foolishly provide evidence against yourself and the people of the state, by the way, including the third-party facilitating venues on the venue of the internet, they will also be held accountable because they are in a position and you are required, based on all the money, all the influence that they exercise, and based on the change of the landscape, you can no longer reasonably contend, oh, the government's not monitoring people, the government's not keeping under. No, that's a lie. And it's a fallacy. It's an illusion. And the new reality, the new landscape will require influential leaders, okay, giants such as Google and YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, TikTok, etc. They have a responsibility. You have a responsibility in any such criminal acts of criminal defamation and harassment, terrorism on the venue of the internet. If you are in any way impeding with the federal investigation, in other words, let me be clear. The feds, just like they will put you in federal prison for obstructing justice where you don't want to answer questions in an interrogation, federal group stalking and monitoring is a real-time threat to the life of a person. And if you think that you will in any way engage in the federal crimes online and avoid equally serious repercussions, you are as foolish as these demons amplifying helicopter activity and audible activity through my window on the 4th floor at this hotel under a fake sun. In other words, that is some baboon-like logic. It is very foolish. Okay, so the entity is engaging in conduct online, and it includes engaging in what is creating superficial barriers to stop the ability to upload very serious evidence. Okay, there is some spectacular evidence published today on the venue of the internet, which is going toward the disbanding, toward the federal prosecution of demons such as domestic enemies, terrorists such as Dominic Choi, and the demons of the LAPD, who will find themselves in federal prison. They're going to find out because who was group stalking me day in and day out in helicopters, and the fact that the domestic terrorist is readily identified as the covert terrorist Dominic Choi. He's going to be prosecuted, and every other corrupt terrorist organization masquerading as police departments, engaging in the state's pattern of conduct, terrorizing me, stalking me in helicopters, and employing satanic methods while you're a whole demon-possessed group stalker. There are consequences, and it will not be a mystery about who's getting what and for what reason. They seek to do so, and federal group stalking is designed such that it could be anonymous. No, it's not anonymous. And it's also specifically identified as very serious crimes that the federal government and federal law is going to literally itemize. And you get XYZ punishment for this, and you get XYZ punishment for that. And while you facilitate that, you cooperated, i.e. Town Place Suites by Marriott, you will be serving very specific consequences. And that's all readily known by the specific environment that you're all surrounded by. Sharing a condition relevant also to all of your prosecutions, all of them. This is a government that's engaging in terrorism. And this is the way that you identify and prosecute it. And so while I'm in my hotel room and the entity is engaged in a 24-hour sex offense, engaging in 24-hour surveillance, corporate invasion of privacy, and doing so while they're engaged in federal stalking online, I get this on my computer, my laptop screen, which is speaking to, a daily upload limit reached. And I would surmise that YouTube, a third party, Google, a third party, are not so foolish to create that. In the same way, the entity has demonstrated an ability to create real-time affect of the operation of internet while they're monitoring. This is a news flash headline regarding what the significance of the demon possessed while they're monitoring you, and they're engaged in monitoring online via communication devices. Through it affects technology and its operation. Okay, so it may or may not actually directly implicate YouTube, but again, the ordinary target individuals who I'm advocating, and you're talking about everything that you are not responsible for when you're documenting. I was not able to upload my documentation to Facebook. The police tried to kidnap me because that's what it is. It's not they don't have P.O.C. So they don't have a probable cause. They don't have reasonable suspicion. They're stalking, and then they want to show up with a badge. Oh, let me arrest you for what? You're stalking. Nobody is. These are psychopaths that are going around murdering people and kidnapping them, and then calling it a day's work, a good day's work, while they're group stalking in service to Satan. Okay, so the entity is doing so, and while you are obstructed, and the internet will be crucial in the future with regard to exposing what you're subject to and who's inflicting it upon you. And while the people of the state or the state, I kid you not, you want to stand in the way. I'm going to tell you right now, you do not want to stand in the way of that. But if you place yourself in creating any sort of obstacle to it, and I have a body of evidence of the government continuously, ceaselessly doing it, and there will be a real prosecution, but yes, real consequences for it, because you are serving to murder and or permanently kidnap someone. You are not getting away with group stalking. You are not getting away with obstructing justice, period. No compromise whatsoever. In fact, it will serve as a literal, you're talking about multiplication of years of federal prison. You're talking about that level of a message sent to the entity that in California is going to be made an example out of, because this is not less serious than bombing buildings and murdering people. The government is doing it maliciously, and it's supposed to appear as free everyday life. No, it is not. That is patently absurd. It is absurd. That's so malicious. Understand the threat to your life, where the government is appearing, creating the appearance whereby you're free to walk into the bank, all right, and take out money out of. Yes, on the surface, it appears that way. Yeah, me too. I'm free to do that. But actually, this is a criminal pattern of conduct underway by the state. And paying attention to the environment is necessary. It's crucial, because you're not free to engage in the elements of monitoring with the corrupt government that's targeting people, and doing so in a manner that is designed to psychologically torment those people who are being targeted through those who are abusing what is supposed to be the right to walk into that bank, to show up to work at that bank. This is not the case. And all of that illusion is going to be shattered, where each one is subject to their prosecution for doing so, helping the government murder and permanently kidnap people. That's what the United States of America is engaging in, doing it with the very constituents of the state. And then the foolishness, they don't engage. It would be one thing, and my articulation of the pattern of conduct would not change, but the way that I emote, okay, the passion with which I speak would be different, because it would be one thing, and I can even in the abstract in my mind, okay, and it's not okay, because you're threatening my life, you're trying to kidnap me, and you don't have a right to. But there's one thing where you can step away from the facts, okay? A dispassionate, fact-based investigation is what this is, okay? So the entity is engaging in group stalking me, and you know that, oh, okay, you're doing it to somebody that's got the wherewithal to, I'm gonna get you, sucker. Okay, it's not funny, but seriously, you're doing it to one that's gathering the evidence. Okay, so, okay, this person is different, all right? Maybe not like everyone else that they've sacrificed before, all right? And that grieves me but this is the case. The attitude that was exhibited by the LAPD is an example of that. And the people of the state. That whole apartment complex. Oh, just strolling day in and day out. Hey, how's it going? That's malice and impunity. The casualty with which you are threatening and conspiring to murder and kidnap someone. And they do it day in and day out. Okay, you belong underneath a federal prison. That's why I went to law school to study law. That's why, to put people like that where they belong. They belong in cages. Okay. It just so happens that I found myself subject to a corrupt government system, and I'm actually doing what was my heart's purpose at the outset when I went to college and I sought out to go to law school. All right. I didn't think it was going to happen in this way, but you're looking at malice and impunity. All right. And it serves to threaten your safety with a smile on its face. It does not get any more grotesque and disgusting. So the entity engages in this conduct and will do so to the demise of itself with regard to recognizing the specific environment, with regard to recognizing we've got the crime scene. Oh, so now you can sit and analyze what everyone is doing. First of all, it's criminal presence, any and everybody that you see. You are not free to report to work. And what the government's going to learn is, okay, well, the P.O.C. is underway. This has changed the landscape. You better not report to work on that day. You better not help the government engage in seeking to murder and or kidnap someone. This is the lesson that California has not yet learned. It's going to not only learn it, the rest of the country and the world that's watching is going to learn it for them, because you will want no parts of what California has been engaging in for years, sacrificing people, for years, murdering. They're sitting around kidnapped in facilities in the state of California right now. Or actually, it's not just limited. When people go to prison, they're not necessarily staying in California. There are people at the dirty hands of California that are sitting kidnapped inside and outside of the state based on the criminal engagement in federal group stalking and monitoring. And based on this, I don't want to go too far out, but this is why I advocate, not because I think that capital punishment is something that a state shouldn't be, that people aren't worthy of it. Okay, there are animals out here that they commit egregious crimes. By the way, they're the people of the state that engage in egregious crimes that are worthy of taking their life as justice. But however, as is the case with the creation of any laws, you're always mindful of the innocent person. In case that accused person is innocent, wrongly convicted, the state of California should not have the right, after prosecution for federal group stalking and monitoring, they should not have the right to ever inflict the death penalty. You're talking about the demilitarization of these corrupt terrorist organizations that want to call themselves police departments and sheriff's departments. You're talking about removing the rights to interfere with the liberty rights and the freedom to walk out of a hospital where you are walking in perhaps of your own volition, but the state no longer has a right to use welfare and institutions code section 5150, for example, while they have the interests of the public and in the interest of, that's how they engage in kidnapping. And where the entity has engaged in this crime, those are the very things that are used to abuse, that are abused to act in the conspiracy to murder and or permanently kidnap. And these are the policies that I advocate based on the criminal system that the state of California is engaging in. And where you are documented engaging in that, and it's not just documentation, because you could have someone that, documents and it's not the P.O.C. You don't have a fake son. They're not, it's not the P.O.C. Okay. I'm not saying that can't happen, but the pattern of conduct and the federal government will be able to, we can all look together. A 4-year-old could recognize, oh, the sun is still over my house when I woke up this morning, and by the time I'm getting ready to, mommy's making me dinner at 7 p.m. Any child could recognize, and the sun is still there. That's the P.O.C. That's not the normal natural environment. Anyone, in other words, can recognize the specific environment. And where you have the facts of the state's criminal pattern of conduct, and where you have been convicted. So I'm not saying just documentation is enough. I'm saying I'm going to prosecute, and the state of California is going to be convicted for criminal surveillance, period. So where you have that, this is calling for a change in the way that the government is able to operate. And that's to save and protect the lives of American citizens. And it no longer is about the fact whether or not they actually committed the crime and they're worthy of the death penalty. It now becomes in the interest of an innocent person, and the state can no longer be trusted. The state cannot be trusted because of the abuse that it is convicted of practicing federal group stalking and monitoring. It's in the interest of those innocent people, the American citizens who are subject to the P.O.C. Okay, and it grieves my heart to think how many American citizens who were subject to this surveillance system were put to death, falsely accused. Okay, many of them are alive. They weren't put to death, perhaps, but they're sitting around kidnapped, sitting around in a facility being drugged up every day, drugged up like they're out of their mind, and they never were. But perhaps they gave up fighting. Perhaps they didn't, fight it anymore. Perhaps they started to question their own sanity and just let them drug them up, and they're sitting around somewhere doped up. They can't function anymore now literally just because of the drugs, which in and of itself causes you to lose function in your mind and your ability. That's not a mental illness. The entity is engaging in permanently kidnapping and or murdering people while keeping them under surveillance. So I went off on that, but it's relevant. And I want to be clear, YouTube is a third party on the venue of the internet. And also the only limit that exists with regard to uploading videos onto the venue of the internet. And I want to go ahead and show this. Let me zoom out some. Those who are well versed in YouTube, which I am, social media. This is not rocket science. Again, it's not rocket science. Just like the fake sun is rocket science. The only limit that YouTube puts on, and with regard to social media, come on, they want us obsessed with social media. There is no limit where you can only upload 15 videos at a time, but we're going to limit it to you can only do 45 uploads in a day. That's not YouTube. That's not the platform. And the entity put this on my screen because I am let me show you because the evidence that I've uploaded today, it's spectacular, and the demons are sitting up watching. And so I am faced with this, and this is showing a specific playlist revealing the terrorism and psychological torture that's related to the entity that's group stalking and planes and helicopters. Now, this is a staple to the pattern of conduct. This playlist will consist of the most spectacular moments. And by spectacular, I don't mean that it's good. It's spectacular with regard to these are the type of moments that are going to be on the news. When you're looking at a police department and no chief of police, no demon-possessed chief of police, no demon-possessed corrupt mayor, is ignorant about the fact that a police department used a helicopter for 47 minutes demonstrating demon possession, flying inexplicably for 47 minutes in a circle in front of my apartment, where, by the way, the sun is rising and setting, which is a scientific impossibility. And it is in conformity to a long documented pattern of conduct, not just by the demon-infected LAPD, but by every other corrupted law enforcement agency that I documented. Not necessarily the 47 minutes of flying in a circle, which is demonic pacing in a helicopter, but I mean following, remaining where I am in helicopter, and even where they're at a great distance away from me in a helicopter, supernaturally I'm being disrupted with the sound of helicopters, which is the same criminal presence. It's an admission by the demons who sought to anonymously group stalk you. There's nothing anonymous about it. And where you're documenting audible activity of helicopter, you have admitted that you're stalking in a helicopter in a specific environment. This is outthinking the demon possessed, who are not witty. They're just wicked. Okay, it's just wicked. So this is the type of evidence that I documented, and on the podcast, putting at the very front the criminal acts of obstruction of justice at the facilitating venues, which are the corrupt courts. San Bernardino Superior Court, where this entity, the public entity that is engaged in state surveillance, sought to obstruct justice by evading service of process, and that was a whole concerted act by the sheriff's department and the court. Thomas Garza is going to federal prison. Okay, the fact that this is years later, 6 years later, does not mean anything less other than you're talking about substantial justice that will be served. And based on the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department, which is the entity, and Thomas Garza, who represents the entity, nothing other than a demon-possessed corrupt government actor who was sitting on a bench, and whether he's retired or not, he's going to be met with the consequences related to conspiring to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen. And because of his criminal conduct, and this is, I mean, deliberate, kind of clearly outside of the bounds of the way that the court is supposed to operate, about what his duty is as a judge, what was clearly identified and well articulated on my part. Not just the fact that it was clear and he could do his due diligence by literally applying the facts to the law, okay? But as an attorney, I articulated the problem to this corrupt judge, and he denied me legal relief. He literally just did not engage in the conduct that he was supposed to, which was requiring a sheriff's department to perform a duty that is within the office that they hold. And you know why? It's not just a reason they just didn't feel like it and that the judge just didn't feel like making the sheriff's department do what they're supposed to do, okay, under existing state and federal laws. It's because they are seeking to obstruct justice, and this is a pattern. By the way, the fake sun is over that courthouse, and the entity's flying over my head in helicopter at that courthouse. Okay, these are the type of things that are being exposed on my YouTube channel. And the entity is monitoring, in other words, keeping me under surveillance online. And this is how you get things that don't even make sense. And not only that, this is not YouTube's policy. And like I said, the ordinary target individual is not required to determine that. So I do want to be clear. People are going to federal prison for this. They're going to federal prison. This is criminal obstruction of justice. And by the way, years of criminal acts of obstruction of justice, years of it. So this is another one, and it is outside of the policy. Let's go back to YouTube. It's outside of the existing policies. And by the way that social media operates, they're not limiting how many videos, and YouTube in particular is not limiting how many videos you can upload in a day. Oh, you've reached your upload limit. The only limit that they have is with regards to, you can see here, you can upload up to 15 videos at a time. But there's no limit. Oh, you can only upload 100 videos per day. That does not exist. The only limit you have is with regard to internet capability. And by the way, the entities engaged in all manner of federal stalking, slowing down the internet, stopping internet operation, any and everything. Criminal acts of obstruction of justice, there is no legitimate and genuine failure with regard to the entity that's obsessively group stalking and monitoring you. Believe me, everything is working well. They just don't want your technology working well. They don't want you to report what they're engaging in, which is a threat to your life. In addition to that, not only is this the case that YouTube is not limiting, I literally published only 3 days thus far. So that's March 15, 2024, and then April 15, 2024, and April 16, 2024. And so with regard to the number of videos, this is less than 50 videos total. That again is not only is it not YouTube's policy to have an upload limit regarding how many videos you can upload in a day, it is also and it's only limited to 15 videos at a time. There's no cap on how many videos you can limit in a day. It is also not reasonable to suggest that my videos, which are equal to less than 50, was some sort of limit that and that's the cause as to why my videos are not uploaded. So I want you to see July 30th. This is where we're at. Yeah, April 15th. Let me go back to the beginning so you can see. These are the videos for April 17th is what I was beginning to start. All the videos did not upload for April 17th. And I tried to figure out why. And what I did, this is what I got. To try to get the remainder from April 17th. Oh, daily upload limit reached. This is monitoring, okay? This is what the government doesn't want you to know. This is what Satan doesn't want you to know, that the people of the state who are demon-possessed and their demonic behaviors affect, first of all, your operation of your phones or your tablet, your desktop computer, what your phone, its internet communication devices, period, whatever it is. The demonic behaviors affect the operation of technology, affect the internet, and they're also engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, and they're engaged in federal stalking on the venue of the internet. So they engage in obstruction of justice while they know what's being published online. So this is, again, this April 10th, 2024 is documented as of yesterday, the 29th. Today is, let me be clear. Today is indeed July 30th. Just want to be clear. Check my dates. So this is the first video that I uploaded April 11th, it looks like. April 11th, and then we can go through playlists. We can get even more precise. April 11th, July 30th. I want to see where we're at. Give me more than 10. Here we go. April 30th. Okay, I picked July 11th. Let me see, just because it says July 30th doesn't mean I might have uploaded. I recall, if I recollect correctly, these are indeed published today though. So this is 14 videos, April 11th. Then we've got, let's go up to the next playlist. April 11th, April 12th, 8 videos. You can see it right here. 12 videos from April 12th published today. But I also did, oops, no, I don't want to do that. I also did, yeah, July 30th published today. That's 8 videos. And then you also have, that's criminal summoning in the background, and the demon in 517 group stalking as I swipe across my screen. All of those departments, including Chin Shuen, Alan Sen, Victor's, they're going to be prosecuted. This is terrorism, and these are the desperate acts of the entity. There's no distraction here. I want you to see what YouTube will be implicated in this federal prosecution for obstruction of justice. But this is those demons that you hear sounding sirens, and the demons stomping in 517, the demons that are pacing in traffic. Okay, this is the people of the state, and the state here, that's group stalking relevant position. All right, and whatever length you have, the feds have to go to in order to prosecute, because you will be going to federal prison for obstruction of justice. It is seeking to murder and or permanently kidnap someone by silencing them, stopping them from being able to publish the evidence against the government to whom you cannot report it, and doing so with knowledge of the fact that you are trying to report it. So let me also get this, because I'm going to end this video here. April 14th, July 13th, this is, oh, I can look at it right here. April 14th, this is no more than, hold on, 4 videos. And then we've got April 15th, that was 20 videos published today. 28 videos, I'm sorry. And then March 15th, yeah, I did that one today, and that was 10 videos. April 16th, that was 17 videos. So we've got 17 plus another 10 videos, plus another 28, plus another 9 videos from April 13th and April 14th. It looks like April 12th. Well, this says last updated. I just want to make sure that's actually updated on this day. Let me see something really quick. Yeah, this is indeed, it says, I'm going to go ahead with that, but I just want to be clear, this is no extraordinarily great high volume of video published documentation at all. And I also want to state that some of this, because I recall documenting from March 15th and April 15th this morning, but we can even add in April 11th, April 12th, April 14th, April 13th, April 15th, March 15th I added in, and April 16th. Yeah, and these actual playlists are from the videos that were already published. They were just allotted into a separate playlist in order to be seen on the page, on the front page of my channel. So I just want to be clear, that is not even 100 videos. and YouTube is not putting, and I've been on YouTube for years, and so has everyone else. YouTube does not have an existing policy. And so if this is YouTube, this is interfering with a federal investigation, which YouTube has done before. But I also want to be clear, the pattern of conduct is such that, and I have documented that the demons that you hear engaging in criminal summoning, they're looking at, oh my goodness, every video that I upload, the entity, they're fearful, but they're not fearful enough to stop keeping you under surveillance. They're not fearful enough to stop terrorizing and stalking and harassing. They're not fearful enough to stop engaging in what is an ongoing threat to your life and privacy, okay? Your well-being, your safety. They're not fearful enough to do that. That's criminal obstruction of justice, and that's also revealing a mental illness. You're going to be prosecuted for that, okay? The entity is engaging in what is a willful conduct with specific knowledge, seeking to obstruct justice in violation of existing policies on a third-party venue that's on the venue of the internet. And it is a criminal act to obstruct justice. I just want to make sure I document that. And I am not here stating that YouTube is directly engaged in that. I'm stating that the people of the state includes these companies online who are not only in relevant position in the state of California, but they're actually also engaging in what is federal stalking online, where everything you're doing is under surveillance on the internet. And so I just want to make sure that that's clear, and I want to state where it occurred. It occurs at a place. This is how you're going to prosecute the state. The website is a venue, and it's a matter for state action. Everything's said and done, the people of the state are going to be prosecuted as terrorists, not as some private citizen that you think you can go on and badmouth the target individual. That's supposed to, first of all, that's serving the state's pattern of conduct. It serves to obstruct justice, and that's exactly what the state wants, to silence someone and call them crazy. That's why they kidnap you in facilities, to call you crazy and silence you. All right, so they're doing it online, which is serving to defame you. That's serving to oppress you. That's adding more harm. That's also relevant to the distress. All of this, you're going to criminally and civilly prosecute for these things. And so anyway, the entity is engaging in this pattern of conduct, and you heard criminal summoning right now, and the entity is doing so. That's at approximately, I believe that was about 7:13 p.m., 7:12 p.m. I'm going to add that to the list. What you see on YouTube is serving a criminal pattern of conduct where there is no existing policy limiting the number. And by the way, that's how social media goes. TikTok is not limiting how many videos you can upload in a day, because they're consumed with how much they're not legitimately consumed. The whole social media phenomenon is to distract you from what actually matters in life, by the way. And Satan is not trying to silence you or stop you from being distracted. Satan just doesn't want me to blow the whistle on him. That's what that is. And because Satan engages in such unthinkable criminal conduct and then tries to obstruct justice while doing it, which you just heard again, which you have people that are fire chiefs, people who are police chiefs who are going to be prosecuted for that, because their departments are engaging in a statewide pattern of conduct. And it's not an anomaly where you see engineer light on this hotel wall and you saw a fake sun at this same intersection 10 hours later from 9:30 in the morning. Those are indeed demons that is engaging in what is Title 18 conduct, and they are cowards. They can engage in it, but they can't handle the heat. They can't handle the weight of first of all, exposure, and also the repercussions, which they're not avoiding. The more that the entity does to obstruct justice, to harass and terrorize, and as an ongoing basis, which continuously group stalking is that as well, you're going to be punished for that. You're going to be punished for it. Okay, I can't stress that enough. It is, again, it's currently 7:17 p.m. on Tuesday, July 30th, 2024. This is documentation of federal group stalking and monitoring with the criminal purpose to obstruct justice, while Title 18, Section 2261A, subsections 1 and 2 is underway by that entity. All right, this is P.O.C.